Mmm. He picks her up and carried her to the car, and he drove her to the emergency room. Hey Poohs, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have a seafood boil. I have lobster tails, king crab, corn on the cob, shrimp, boiled eggs, sausages, and potatoes. Okay, and I have my butter sauce, y'all. But if you are new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to give this video a like. All right, I'm also doing a true crime in this video, so if you don't like true crime, then just watch me on mute. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start off with a lobster tail. These lobster tails were pretty small, but they still look good. Mm. 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 Piece of king crab. Mm-hmm. Mm. King crab falling apart, y'all. Wow. Mm. I'm gonna eat a little bit, y'all, and then we're gonna get into the true crime, all right? Mm. Oh my God. Mm, mm, mm. 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 Them sausages are good, y'all. I get these sausages from Kroger. They got them at Walmart too. Every time I start to film somebody at my door. Anyways, I get these sausages from Kroger, but they have them at Walmart too. I know everybody have a Walmart, so they at Walmart, and they're called Homes. And I get the beef kind. I'll put it on the screen. Homes. They're so good. I like them. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. It's lunchtime, y'all, so I'm hungry. Mm. Mm. This is a king crab knuckle. Mm. 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 All right, y'all, let's get into the true crime. So it's this lady named Mary. She has 3 children with her husband, Bill. Her and Bill actually owns a chiropractor office. Now, one day, Mary wakes up, she puts her clothes on, and she heads to her office. So she gets to her office, she gets to, she does some work, and around lunchtime, she decided she wants to go to her mother's house so she can have lunch with her mother. So by the time she gets to her mother's house, her mother had already had lunch. So she was like, that's a bummer. So she leaves her mother's house. She goes back to her office and she has herself a protein shake. By the middle of the day, she's calling her husband, Bill, like, hey, Bill, I don't feel well. Don't worry about getting dinner ready for me. I feel horrible and I don't think I'm going to be able to eat. So he's like, okay, don't worry about it. I hope you feel better. So by the end of the day, she leaves her chiropractor office. She's running through her front door, running to the bathroom because she just vomits. By the next morning, Bill said it looked like Mary was on her deathbed. So he picks her up and carried her to the car and he drove her to the emergency room. When they get there, doctors, they ran the typical tests like flu, pneumonia, stomach bugs, and things like that. And all of that stuff came back negative. Now, during that time, Mary started to have cardiac events. So they had to resuscitate Mary multiple times. Her heart was just giving out. And the last time her heart just would not beat. And so she ended up passing away. Now, during the time Mary had passed, her husband Bill was there, her 3 children, and her office manager, Caitlyn. Now, Caitlyn is also Mary's younger son, Adam's ex-girlfriend. The doctors ended up approaching Bill, was like, hey, Bill, I wonder what went on with your wife. I would love to get her examined because me and the other doctors are puzzled on what happened to her. So Bill was like, yes, of course. I would want to know what happened to my wife. So they send her body to get examined. And now the examiner is looking at her cells, and her cells look like they were killing themselves off. And so immediately he knew that it was a poison that was introduced into her body. So now the doctor, he ordered blood tests to see what poison was introduced into Mary's body. He started with the typical things like heavy metals, cyanides, arsenic, and all of that came back negative. So now the doctor is puzzled. He like, what happened? Like, what is in her body? You know, what was in her body? Now, by this time, Mary's body had to be sent back to her family to be cremated. And the examiner only had 1 vial of her blood left. And so he felt like, oh my God, like I got to make this count, you know? So he reached out to Upstate Poison Control, and he also reached out to another doctor. So the doctor and the Upstate Poison Control said, based upon the timetable of events when Mary became symptomatic, the time of death, along with her cardiac events, they were leaning more towards a colchicine poisoning. Colchicine is a medicine commonly administered to patients who have gout, and in low dosages, it's fine, but in higher dosages, it's lethal. Now, 2 months after Mary passing, the test results come back, and it was colchicine in her system. It was a high amounts of colchicine in her system. Now, around that time, 2 anonymous letters ended up showing up. One showed up to the medical examiner's office, and one showed up to the sheriff's department. Now, in this letter, it basically said Adam, Mary's younger son, is responsible for Mary's death, that he actually was the one who poisoned her with colchicine. And if you look in his black Jeep on the passenger side underneath his seat, you will find the colchicine wrapped in like this brown cardboard along with a receipt. So investigators was like, okay, we're going to have to call up Adam, you know. So they call up Adam and they tell Adam, like, your mother's death is now a homicide. You need to come down to the department. So Adam gets there. Now investigators are watching Adam pull up because they want to know if Adam gonna pull up in a black Jeep. So he pulls up in a black Jeep. Adam gets out of the car. He heads inside the building. So he gets there and they start to ask some questions. They did let Adam know, like, hey, Adam, like, we had got 2 anonymous letters. And in these 2 anonymous letters, it stated that you are responsible for your mother's death, that you are the one who poisoned her. And if we go outside and look at your Jeep, the colchicine will be underneath your seat. And he was like, what? No, you're not going to find anything in my car, you know, related to my mother's death. So the investigators asked him, like, well, could we check? And he said yes. So they goes outside. Adam goes with them, and Adam started to smoke a cigarette. So one of the investigators opened up the door and they go underneath the passenger seat. They end up pulling out the colchicine, and the colchicine was there wrapped in like this brown cardboard with a receipt. Now the receipt had a lot of personal information. It had Adam's full name on there. It had his parents' chiropractor office address on there. It had Adam's phone number on there, and it also had an email that was mradam1990@gmail.com. Adam's like, that's not even my email address. So they go back into the department and they started to question him. And he's like, look, I don't know what y'all talking about. I would never harm my mother. I love my mother. Me and my mother are close. You know, I didn't do this. So the investigator was like, well, can you prove that you didn't do this? And he's like, yeah, I can prove I didn't do this. I actually have an easy pass to show you at the time of when my mother became ill. I was nowhere near her. So they end up subpoenaing his easy pass, and sure enough, Adam couldn't have possibly done this to his mother. So they asked him, they said, well, do you know of anybody who would want to hurt your mother? And he's like, no, who would want to hurt my mother? Like, my mother is sweet. No, nobody would want to hurt her. So then they asked him, well, do you think your father would have tried to frame you in some way. And he's like, what? My father wouldn't frame me. No. So then they were like, well, do you think your father would have wanted to hurt your mother in any way? He was like, no, absolutely not. My father loves my mother. They have a loving relationship. No, I don't see it at all. So investigators was like, you know what? We need some more information on Bill. So what they do is they head to the chiropractor office that Bill and Mary own. So they get there and they wanted to talk to the office manager, which was Caitlyn. Now remember, Caitlyn is Adam's ex-girlfriend. So they get there, they ask her like, do you think Bill would want to hurt Mary in any way? And she's like, no, they have a very loving relationship. Like, I don't see it at all. But she ended up saying like, you know, Adam is a very mean person. He's aggressive. And she just started talking really bad about Adam. So the investigator's like, why is she talking about Adam? And we're here talking about Bill. So red flags goes off in the investigator head. Like, why is she talking about Adam? And we're here talking about Bill. So he's like, I wonder if she was the one who sent those 2 anonymous letters. So he asked her. And when he asked her, she kept continue to talk about Adam. Like she didn't respond to him. So another red flag went off in his head and he was like, okay, now if an investigator asks you a question and you don't answer it, they're going to keep pressuring you until they get an answer from you. So that's exactly what he did. And he asked her again and she's like, well, yes, I was the one who sent the 2 anonymous letters. So they takes her down to the precinct and they started to question her. But they also go through her phone. They go through her phone and they see that that email address, mradam1990@gmail.com, was actually an account on her phone. And she had added that account to her phone. The DNA on the culture scene bottle matches Caitlyn as well. DNA from the 2 stamps that were on those anonymous letters, Caitlyn DNA as well. They end up going through Caitlyn's office computer and they were able to see that she ended up typing up those 2 anonymous letters on her office computer. Caitlyn was thinking she deleted all of this stuff, right? She thinking she deleted everything from her, everything that was on her phone, everything that was on the office computer. Now she also was on her phone, they were able to see that she was researching like lethal poisonings. She also researched Mary's height, age, and weight to see how much colchicine she needed to give Mary for it to be lethal in her body. Like she did a lot of research, y'all. Investigators also discovered that email address, mradam1990@gmail.com. The password to that email address was Adam is gay. And investigators knew like Adam would never put something like that because he's a heterosexual male. So they knew it had to be Caitlyn. So investigators said Caitlyn had to be the one who gave that protein shake to Mary. She must have made the protein shake, mixed up the colchicine in there, and gave it to Mary. They said her reasoning was she was upset that Adam was actually moving on because her and Adam's relationship was like this toxic, on again, off again type of relationship. And she seen that Adam was actually moving on this time and it just hurted her. And so she felt like, why not take the one person on this earth that he loves the most? And of course, that was Mary, his mother. So they end up giving Caitlyn 23 years in prison, which I think it should be more, you know. So y'all let me know down below. Do y'all think 23 years in prison was enough for Caitlyn? Just curious what y'all think. Let me know down below in the comment. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And if you haven't gave this video a like, go ahead and give it a like, all right? But all right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. And I'll see you on the next video. All right, y'all.